Construction remains one of the pillars of the Namibian economy, and we're happy to welcome the CEO of the Construction Industries Federation, Bärbel Kirchner, to our studio. Hello, Bärbel, and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity. It's lovely to be here. Thank you.
The Federation very busy this year, and just last week you had a meeting with the African Development Bank. What spurred this meeting?
Thank you. I think it's very important to know that we are due, there's likely to be another project being advertised about the railway line, the upgrade of the railway line between Karabip as well right up to Tsumeb. And that, of course, for us is very important that we do engage with the representatives of the African Development Bank that had been in Namibia last week. To ensure that we have majority Namibian-owned companies also involved in the project. In the past, that had not been the case due to pre-qualification requirements, which had excluded our Namibian contractors, and to the extent that they actually could not even qualify during pre-qualification. And that, of course, we want to avoid in the future.
And the meeting that took place, are you happy with the outcome, or was there any agreements? Or
I think just to perhaps also reflect on why for us it's so important, because in the past in 2018 there was also the railway line project that was also basically between Walvis Bay and Karabip, Kransberg, and at the time Namibian contractors had not been involved. And similarly, there was also an African Development Bank finance project, the Phase 2A from Windhoek to the international airport. Again, Namibian contractors had not been involved. And of course, we really like to avoid that because we need to create opportunities for our local industry, which really was in a very terrible state since 2015 or 2016. So it's very important that we get some more work done. And yes, I hope it will lead to a positive outcome. I think our engagement was positive. It was actually also held at the Ministry of Works and Transport, which we are very happy about.
Yes.
Very encouraging. So I think there are similar interests to obviously get our local industry more active again, I hope. But all in all, I think we shared our concern. And we've also placed emphasis that Namibian contractors have the capacity, they have the technical skill to participate in these contracts. It's often the financial criteria that exclude our local contractors, and that is due to the size of the project. If the size of the projects were somewhat smaller, if the lots of the sort of project are smaller, then Namibian contractors can more actively be engaged. We know that there are there's legislation and policy at the African Development Bank, which obviously is determined also by, I believe, the member states or the members of the bank. So when we engaged, we heard that obviously that is a requirement that one would have to adhere to that. I think one needs to take that into consideration, but at the same time also the local realities. The reality of our economy, that we've got still, our construction sector in 2016 was 7.2% of GDP, now we're below 2%. And also we've got a huge unemployment rate in Namibia, especially unemployed youth. We need to get them actively involved. And especially if you think that in construction you can create jobs very quickly.
Right.
And so, I think it was positive. I think we have been heard, so hopefully that we will see positive results of that.
Certainly sounds encouraging. We are hoping for the same from our side. You touched on it briefly just now, saying or sketching what the current state of construction is. And yes, I remember the boom period.
Yes.
Construction was pumping billions into the economy. Post-COVID and post-recession, how bad was the construction industry hurt? And have you got a vague estimation of closure of companies or jobs that have been lost, etc.?
Yeah, I think it's very difficult to say at this stage, but if the membership of the CIF is an indication, we've lost about 50% of our members, and that's not due to us not providing a service. It is a fact that many of the businesses have closed down, or basically are just dormant and therefore really do not have any sort of turnover to contribute any form of membership or any other sort of marketing activity. But if you look at the industry as a whole, in 2015, like I said, 7.2% was our contribution to GDP. It's now below 2%, and jobs have been lost. Around about 40% of jobs in the industry have been lost, and of course it's devastating because many people that have been actively engaged in the economy are no longer earning an income, and it really puts their families into a very, very difficult position. And we believe that construction can really create a lot of jobs. So it's important that our local industry gets active again. If you have foreign contractors involved to the extent it's currently the case, you might have a limited local involvement, but of course the money is not circulated in our economy, and the contribution to tax is also much less to our government revenue, which again has future consequences as well. Yes.
Well, the Federation very actively lobbying for the establishment of an independent construction council. Why is this so important?
Thank you. Yeah, I think we need to remember that the CIF itself is a member-based organization, and we can represent the interest of our members of the industry, but we are not a policing body and we are not a statutory body, so therefore our mandate is limited. But we find that it's incredibly important that our industry is regulated because, at the moment, anybody can operate in our business. Any company, any small organization, practically without the adequate skills can participate in the construction sector, which is dangerous. Because obviously you wouldn't go to a medical doctor that is not registered. You want to achieve a certain quality of workmanship, and also you want to see that projects are being completed. I think since 2006 we have been lobbying for the Construction Council. In 2012 it was tabled in Parliament. At the time it was thrown out again. I think the concern was whether there was sufficient stakeholder involvement, or whether it was debated enough, which I think it was at the time. But another concern was that it might lead to exclusivity, and that would only benefit a certain contractors. Yes. And that is absolutely not the case. On the contrary, actually what you would find is that everybody would be more involved optimally in the construction sector, of course, if they have the right capacity and adequate skills. So I think what you have at the moment is a situation that everybody's competing for the same slice of the cake. You have the larger contractors involved in a space where SMEs should be involved, solely SMEs, and then you have also foreign contractors involved in the same space, also where SMEs are involved. So basically our local contractors are being displaced. And so what we want is that there is place for everybody, even foreign contractors, but not where there is Namibian capacity. I think I want to guard against the impression that being created that we do not want to have any foreign involvement. We need investors in Namibia, and we need foreign involvement. We need to remain competitive, but at the same time, there needs to be the right place for foreign contractors and also for the larger contractors. They shouldn't compete with the SMEs. Yeah.
Bärbel, you make a very, very compelling case, and we wish you the best with your efforts. Thank you very much for joining us in the studio.
I thank you very much. So.